All right, we've only got 3 more this season.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Only 3 more this season.
That's
so
terrible.
Yet again, we're almost at the end of another Walking Dead season.
But I could still hang out with you guys, right?
Absolutely not.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely not.
That was a mean thing to say. So
you
early
haven't
in the
even
morning.
answered yet, JP. I'm still
Right,
waiting for
you're
your
judging
answer.
me, and
at least he was like
you're
upfront
dodging
about
the
it. You're just being
question.
like, oh, how terrible.
I'm chewing on it. That's all.
That's great.
Let's dive right
So
into
that's
this
a big
episode.
Feels like I'm
decision.
back in high school.
All right, so at the very beginning, and Matt, I've got a question for you out of this. At the very beginning, I thought, man, that's a lot of packing for one cantaloupe. You know,
Yeah,
it's like the strap down. Like, couldn't someone just hold this cantaloupe on the way there? And then you realize later in the episode that they're actually showing you, the neck. They're showing you a later
Foreshadowing.
scene. All right, now several times in this show's run, we've had that where they show you like the ending scene or a scene later. A later scene.
Okay, I get what you're talking about.
At the beginning of the episode. And do you like this? Do you, as a huge film buff, do you like this style? Or do you think that it's something that they maybe should reserve and only do every now?
No, I mean if it's done right, yeah, it's great. But I think with this, like, you have to do it with this show,
right?
Because there's so many different storylines going on. I think this episode really shows they're going to start bringing stuff together now.
Yeah.
But for the past few episodes, everything has been going on different places. So you have to kind of give people a little bit of, hey, here's what to look out for before this thing happens. And it can get kind of old, but at the same time, if it's done right, it's fine.
They've probably done it before. The first time I remember, like off the top of my head when I think about it, is when Rick killed the claimers, when he bit the guy's throat out in the beginning of the episode. He's sitting there all bloodied against the car, shaking, and he's got blood in his beard and on his hands and stuff. I'm sure they've probably done it before that, but that's the first time that stands out in my mind that I remember them doing that, because then that scene was obviously after, way on down in the episode.
But then they do that, and it leads us to think like, oh, well, they're going to do it all the time. It's like the Morse code thing, like that hasn't come back up. At the beginning of the series, the "Don't Dead" open inside, like that door, stuff like that.
I just wait for the idiot.
Right.
Most of us were just
Don't
like,
dead.
okay, and screw left or right. I guess we're just going, don't open dead inside. Don't do what is it?
Don't dead open inside.
So I won't be dead if I open it. That makes
Well, let's
sense.
go ahead and open it.
There's a
then.
poet in this hospital.
Oh my
That's
God.
so deep.
But yeah, so then they do stuff like that, and you're like, well, is that going to lead us? Like the Morse code thing is probably in the most recent memory, but then they don't do it, and you're like, well, what is happening?
JP, what do you think Carol was having a nightmare about?
I think she's just dwelling on what really happened at the Alexandria. I think she knows that Daryl was shoving her a bunch of malarkey. Wow, that was a lot to say. Shoveling her a bunch of malarkey.
But you said it beautifully.
You did.
The second
touched
time
my
around.
soul.
So you're dreaming that Daryl is shoving a bunch of malarkey inside of her?
Right
Is that what
inside of
you're dreaming?
Carol, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing's actually marmalade.
Oh.
And he's just shoveling it down her
So
gullet.
sticky.
Marmalade.
It's
That's
everywhere.
odd that you say that, because Marmalade is the name of my parents' cat.
Are you serious?
So
Is
when
it
you
an
say
orange
that,
cat?
Yeah.
Oh,
so when
boy,
you
a
say
real
that, I just
Garfield.
got
I thought you were
really
gonna say
odd image.
I thought you were going to say Marmalade is the name of your favorite band. And I was like, I would believe a band called Marmalade.
I would
Now,
listen.
let's ask an important question. How stale would cigarettes be in the apocalypse?
Oh, my
I
God.
don't get me wrong. Anytime you say something like that, somebody always has to be like, well, I guess you just wouldn't care. That's all
Well,
you
it's
can
also a cigarette. It can't taste that good anyway.
I get it. It's like, but I mean, still, wouldn't that sucker? I mean, they don't hold up that well that long, right? I mean, wouldn't they be stale if someone
Yeah,
wasn't
but I think at
making
that
these?
point they probably don't care. They're just like,
Right.
I just want a cigarette. I don't care.
All right, let's see. So we found out Carol can be such a creative zombie killer, which then again, you have to be in the apocalypse.
She's
but
just so bored. God
she's just
bless
like the
her.
angry old woman in the tree. It's like old woman Carol in the tree stabbing people again.
She is the prime example of people that retire early and then get bored and take up a greeting position at Walmart. Like, that's what happens. Like, she retired, now she's bored. She's like,
Right.
I might have to get back into the
Or
game
the
a
old
little
people
bit.
who are like so crotchety, instead of like feeding feral cats, they actually just shoo them away. Get off of my porch! Get away!
Damn, you're on point today, JP.
Yeah, man. I feel like you've had that problem
I feel like
before.
you're. I'm taking it. You know someone who's done this.
No. I love feral cats. Don't paint me with that brush.
Speaking of feral cats, Logan looks like a really good
I
movie.
saw it last Monday.
Did you really?
I will say
Sorry, I
straight
didn't
up,
move on.
best of the X-Men movie, in my opinion.
I got really excited. I just want to talk real quick.
Best of the X-Men.
So Carol and me. Wait a minute. Carol and Morgan's talk. I thought that was pretty
At
good.
the beginning,
when Morgan was telling her, like, I'll go back with you right now. Because you could tell it was like, have you ever had, like, that friend that you want to tell them a secret so bad, but you can't tell them? You know what I mean? It's kind of like Morgan's like, I want you to know, but I can't tell you. So that's why, he's straight up just like, I'll go with you now. Let's go. It'd be like, some of the things that Matt tells me about you that, like,
All right, that's enough of that.
I
Okay.
can't
Whoa,
tell you about.
okay.
But yeah, I thought that was
Whatever could he be saying?
Nothing but nice things.
and shut up. So you got Benjamin wanting to be a badass survivor. JP, do you think that he could have became badass?
No,
because
spoilers,
he studied
Justin.
under
Spoilers.
Morgan. He studied
Don't put
under
it in past
Morgan.
tense.
He studied under Morgan, and then having Carol be his new Mr. Miyagi. Do you think he would have grown up to have been like a super badass?
He was certainly on his way, but I guess I don't know if we'll know now.
Calm down. Yeah, he could still be alive.
In another universe?
Yeah.
I never saw a body. Did they stab him in the head?
Nah, I don't know if we saw that or not, but we saw the sheet over the body and
Yeah,
everything.
but then you got to stab him in the. Oh, next week if he comes back as a zombie because they forgot to stab him in the head.
I think they handled that off screen. And like how do we say the name? How do we say the actor's name that plays King Ezekiel? Is it?
Oh, boy.
It's Khary.
Kang Ezekiel.
Carrie? Would you say Carrie?
That sounds
Peyton,
right to me.
Carrie
I don't know.
Peyton, that plays King Ezekiel. Man,
That's
he
a
does
good-
such
that's
a
a good
good
name.
job as King Ezekiel.
I love
man.
him.
I really do think, like Matt was talking earlier this morning, he had said, that's one of the best comic to show adaptations
Absolutely.
of him. Like I really
100%.
like him.
Matt, did you-
Kari Payton.
He and Michonne,
Kari Payton?
okay.
Kari.
He and Michonne, I think, are two of the best as far as like just the style of character, coming to life. Michonne's a little bit more horny in the, which I mean, she kind of took care of that last episode, but
I mean, as far as the look, I was thinking that too. Like Michonne is a close second, but Ezekiel, man, like Spot. If you put the picture the first time
what's
they
that?
met
The
him,
only person that could have been better is what's that old reggae singer with the colorful hair?
Marley?
not Washington.
George Washington.
It is, isn't
Wait,
it?
who are you talking about?
Isn't he a reggae singer?
George Clinton.
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 I knew
He's
it was
a
a
funk
president's
singer.
name.
It's a funk. That's it.
Oh,
Yeah, not
yeah.
reggae.
Parliament
funk.
Funkadelic,
Now, I could
man.
see. I could have seen him playing. Like if you at a slightly younger age. That's who I
George
could have
Washington
seen.
was a legitimate
You had
guess because I knew it was a president's
I was going to
last
say you had a
name.
different president's name. That's really
but
funny.
that was a legit
Is it
guess. That
George
wasn't just like
Washington,
George Washington.
Lincoln, George Taft. Which one is it? Is it
Yeah.
George
It's one of these
Trump? It's
Georges.
George Trump, isn't it? Yeah.
I like the girl that said, "I think I pissed myself."
Oh my God, that was funny. I remember watching that, telling you, "Oh, that was pretty funny."
Would you two have pissed yourselves if Shiva was? Would you
No.
trust King Ezekiel when he tells you
absolutely.
you have nothing to worry about?
I like animals anyway. Like I'm the kind of person that would try to pet a tiger at a zoo. Well, not. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like if the rules didn't apply, then I'd be like, "Hello, Mr. Gorilla," and like I'd shake their hand or something like that. I love animals.
If he had a lion, I would be. He does have a lion, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh no,
Okay.
tiger.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, tigers have the stripes. Lions don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lions are the king of the jungle,
But tigers are way more territorial, I think.
and they're great.
yeah.
They're great.
Way more
Okay,
likely
so,
to attack you.
I don't know. I've never met up with a big animal like that, so I don't know how I would feel.
I feel like even though he tells me, because I've seen those videos where those zookeepers are like playing with the lion or the tiger, and then out of nowhere it attacks like the person beside them.
Yeah.
So even if he was like, "It's okay, Shiva likes you. I'm cool. I'm just going to stay here just to be safe.
Harambe.
I trust you." But I'm sure you both did too. Throughout many times in this episode, I kept going, "Oh yeah, Benjamin's dead."
Oh, yeah.
like it showed him with his little brother, and I'm thinking, "Nice knowing you, Benjamin." Like, like they just And that actually leads to a question later, talking about predictability in the show, Matt, that I want to get your opinion on.
Oh, surprise!
So
That's all I'm
stay
going to
tuned
be thinking
for
about
that.
for the next like 10 minutes.
Actually, you know what? That is the next question. So,
Yes!
when Richard was making his peace with Morgan, did y'all actually suspect that he was going to die this episode?
I didn't think that something was going to happen to Richard until what's little Eddie? What is his name? Yeah, until Eddie died. That's when I was like, oh, something's going to happen. Maybe not this episode. I didn't expect it to happen how it did and as quickly as it did.
Right.
Me
But I
neither.
was like, after all this, yeah, Richard's got to die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They made, in my opinion, they made it predictable but unpredictable. Like when I saw that, I had in my notes when that scene was going on, when he was making his peace with Morgan, I was like, is Richard going to die like very soon?
We've been calling that for a little
and that's
bit.
the thing with this show is they do that with every character. It's like they get to say their piece and then their death's coming up soon. And instead of, but then again, then they made it completely unpredictable in the way that he died. Like I thought he was going to die soon, but I didn't think.
They should have shot him in the head. That would have been even better.
Jerry was killing that cobbler too.
Oh, yeah.
It looked delicious.
Yeah, everybody loves pie and cobbler in these day and age in this time.
Hell yeah.
You wouldn't think there'd be as many baked goods floating around.
I'm so
zombie
surprised. How do they
apocalypse.
bake it?
I don't know.
What do they do?
They use an oven.
Oh, I've been making cakes so wrong for so long.
Because they can make outdoor ovens with fire pits.
Oh, and yeah, that's true.
Like
Yeah, like a sand pit where you just.
And Alexandria has electricity, so I mean, they could straight up use a real oven.
And where's their electricity? They have generators.
They have like solar panels and stuff.
Solar panels. Yeah. There we go. But is that provided? Okay.
Which no, that's the thing. That's like I think my dad was telling me that the only thing with that is it would have to be like a lot of solar panels to power those gigantic like $700,000 homes.
Unless you ever notice, they never use any kind of lights in their homes.
Not typically.
The only time that they use energy is to cook
and water. Which water? I guess it depends if it's city with this. What is it? Water, it would just take electricity to heat the water, though, right? Water could run without the electricity.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, all of the water treatment plants and everything have been so without people for so long.
I'd be scared to drink water out the faucet. I mean,
you'd better just go down to a creek or something.
Ted turned into a zombie, fell into the reservoir, and now we're all drinking zombie slushies.
And that's how Cabin Fever starts. So
I remember that movie. It had Sean from Boy Meets World. He had a sex scene.
Eli Roth.
I didn't like it.
She was a Power Ranger.
I didn't like it because I was like, this is Corey. I mean, we all knew he was having sex. Of the two, but still.
Corey was getting it.
Sean was getting it. Corey waited until, he and Topanga tied the knot.
Oh, we could talk about that for a while.
Boy, that's all. I was going to say Eli Roth wrote Cabin Fever while he was interning for a Howard Stern's movie.
Oh, really?
Private Parts.
Private Parts is good. Howard Stern is the only person who could play himself in a movie about his life.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's the kind of person. And didn't Fantasia do that too? From American.
Did she? She
played herself in the movie.
She had a biopic?
Yeah.
Now, JP, this next question is for you.
Fantasia?
No, absolutely not.
That is the only season of American Idol I watched all the way through.
So I feel, just me as a comic reader, I don't feel like Richard was given quite the same role in the show as he was in the comic. You know what I'm saying? He definitely didn't get the same death, but I feel like they almost played Jerry closer to Richard's character of being, because I mean, in the comic,
I'm terrible with names. Who's Jerry?
Jerry's the big guy, the funny
Samoan.
guy.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that's Ezekiel's.
Don't raise your voice to the king.
I could see Ezekiel holding him in his arms and crying when he's dead, which will probably, I don't know if he's that strong or not, but I could see him holding Jerry.
Ooh.
Whereas it's Richard is more closer to Ezekiel's heart. I mean, when Richard was getting strangled, Ezekiel didn't even do anything.
Nobody moved. We talked about that. We're like, is no one gonna try to come in between us?
But then again, Jerry has a sweet battle axe, so
he does.
I would probably stay close with him too.
When the Savior guy called him out on their make-believe nonsense, I was like, man, I bet Matt's loving that.
That's actually one of my notes. Yeah, I've got that coming up here in just a few minutes.
Finally.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
When y'all saw the shopping cart blockade, I was just thinking it's a trap.
It's a trap.
There you go. What are y'all doing? I don't do that good.
Admiral Akbar.
And then you saw Benjamin and Morgan. You saw Benjamin this episode bond with what? Morgan, Ezekiel, and his little brother.
Yeah.
Like they really wanted to drive it home. He's going to die, and we want you to feel really bad about it.
And that's another thing. Like the show does a lot. When you have a character that you haven't really focused on too much, and all of a sudden you focus on them a lot in one episode.
That goes along with my previous question. Do you think that they just make themselves a little too predictable by doing that? I mean, It's almost like when they write it, rather than just write these characters as they go along, they're like, oh, shit, we're about to kill Benjamin. We need to really drive it home that he's a good, sweet kid that people love and then kill him.
I've never had to do writing for anything on that large of a scale, and I have they're on a deadline.
Obviously.
And you have 16 episodes a year.
Yeah.
So I understand that you have to get them out and pump them out during the summer. Plus you got to shoot and do reshoots and rewrites, all that stuff. So it can get very taxing and a lot of work. But I think they sometimes get lazy. We've talked about this before.
They do it again and again. It's
just
one thing to have that once or twice, and you're like, oh, they did the same thing with this character as this character. But I mean, that's pretty much what they do with every character. It's like if they're going to die, it's the same old trope with them. They focus on them the entire episode, or at least, give you reasons to kind of feel attached to this person, and then they kill them. I mean, I can't count how many times, if someone wants to say it's not that predictable, how many times we've been sitting around the family watching it, and somebody just goes, oh, yeah, like Denise. They're like, oh, Denise is so going to die.
Yeah,
and then,
I got so excited when that happened.
So I do feel they get a little bit predictable when they do that, but at the same time.
But you said, it's a approach. They get into the rhythm of it, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just do this. And then it gets in, like you said, a certain mindset of doing it this way, and we'll just keep doing it. But then, and I guarantee you, I haven't seen what's happening next week, but I know that we'll go away from the kingdom. We may not.
They actually kind of just showed a collage of. I hadn't seen any. I didn't watch The Talking Dead, so I didn't see any scenes from next week. But I know, the actual, they just kind of showed a collage of the last 3 episodes.
I know the kingdom won't be in it, and there's a 50-50 that Negan.
I didn't
even
see Negan in that little.
The Saviors.
Flash.
Exactly. I'm telling you, like
maybe his scenes are really crucial, and they just didn't want to show that.
You give them a lot of credit.
Then I do. I give them way more credit.
I think we're going back to the hilltop. I want to say something about that.
I put my next note said, because JP called it, said, were you too happy that the Savior told King Ezekiel to leave that, Your Highness?
That is the one good thing that guy has done.
Yeah.
Like, what's his name? Do we know his name?
I don't like him too much. I'm not good with names.
I don't like any of them. But I was so glad. I was like, thank you for calling it.
I don't like him either, but I do like at least he understands the gravity of what they've done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At least he's smart enough to like this guy. But I mean, the thing was, though, it's like you've watched this develop the last 2 or 3 times you've met with him. You could have stomped this fire out long before it got to going. Like, you're just now like, walk home. If you turn around or say anything, I'll kill you or whatever. It's like, dude, you could have stopped this whole standoff long. Like, you let him push Richard and
that's the thing.
Really,
that's the thing with
Morgan.
the Saviors, and that'll be their downfall. And this is Negan too, goes all the way to the top. People get passionate about something and don't think it through before they do it.
Yeah.
And then, like we were talking about earlier, how Negan has put these lieutenants in place, and they have no experience, and they're just selfish people, and then they watch Negan fly off the handle.
They're weak-minded people, so they watch their leader rule off of fear and intimidation, so then they try it.
But they don't know how to do it.
They're not nearly as good at it. And it just comes off as sloppy. But Negan's got a full-out war on his hands. I mean, he can't. I want to say because of his crappy lieutenants, but I mean, really, he can't blame anybody but himself.
Has he said how long? Now, how far are they into the zombie apocalypse again?
I'd say a year or two.
Okay.
Maybe 2 years.
And how long do you think? How long do you think they've been in that Negan has been like leader of the Saviors?
It's a good question. I don't know. We know from the comics, again, spoilers, sorry, come back in about a minute and a half.
Oh.
But we know, not that long, about a minute. But we know from the comics that Negan was with his wife when everything started, like when everything happened. And it's a whole, I won't spoil much more, but like he's in the hospital with her when the apocalypse is starting around him. And then he hits the road after that and runs into these 2 guys, and it kind of starts there. So, I mean, I'd say for a while. I mean, I don't think this is, I don't know. That's a really good question. I'd say for a little while. I mean,
I imagine it took a little bit of time
quarters,
from the time
business is good. I'm sure he's filed a couple quarterly reports.
I imagine it would take a little time from the time zombie apocalypse started to the time that he was a leader of a group of people.
Yeah.
Unless there's some people out there he just found that they were like, we're scared. He's like, well, follow me.
I felt that standoff was really tense too, because I put not. Of course, it's not as tense as the Negan standoff because you're like, who's gonna die? But I felt the same kind of like anxiety while watching it. Like I knew someone was getting ready to die, but it's like, who's it gonna be? It kind of reminded me of the finale of last season.
And then they bring Benjamin. Carol just cleaned her house, and they bring Benjamin, put his bloody body all over her table.
Yeah, what an
and they
asshole.
kick her door in. Just turn the doorknob. Why are you gonna kick the door in?
Do you think they made the right decision by turning their guns over? Do you think they should have tried to have fought them there? Or do you think it was
such a
smart?
Bitch move, man.
I really didn't expect
taking the guns or
handing them over.
I thought Ezekiel was just going to get like the badass merit because he's like, so what's it going to be? Use them or turn them over or whatever. And it kind of zoomed in on Ezekiel's face, and I was just waiting for him to go, use them. And then they all started shooting. It was like, Ezekiel's a badass, man. But I mean, at the same time, you got to understand Ezekiel's entire point is he wants to keep. I mean, he cares about his people, and he wants to. So he knew, obviously. I'm not going to say it was a smart move, but I think he knew. Had he engaged in a fight, he was going to lose a lot of his people, even if he survived. And I think that's the last thing Ezekiel wants to do is be responsible for people dying.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's, like right now, he's finally had to be pushed into a corner before he's agreed that we will fight because, I think if there's a way to get around it, he wants to. And I think that's why he trusts Morgan so much because Morgan looks at things a lot like he does. Like he wants to kill as a last resort. Doesn't want to fight if he doesn't have to, and I think that's why he put so much faith in Morgan so quickly.
Well, I'm ready. I want that dude, the long-haired dude that killed Benjamin. I'm ready
to
for
die,
him. And I don't want him to just die. I want that guy to suffer.
I want him and the rapist guy that was rubbing on Enid's face.
Ugh. Yeah,
I want both of them to die, and I want Negan to kill both of them.
Or it'd be awesome if the rapist dude raped the long-haired dude, but he got AIDS from the long-haired dude. and then he dies of slow pain. Like I want them to suffer.
Right. Well, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, but we'd have to see it. You know what I mean? Like maybe we see down the road and we see them laying in the hospital.
We gotta see them. Okay.
He's like, I just don't understand why you
put
raped
this on
me.
HBO or something. I can't.
You've never raped another man before.
It's always the same answer from every rape. It's like, I don't know, felt good. I don't know.
Right. Why did you do that to me? We were on the same side.
Oh, it's the first, I don't know. And the second one's, duh,
you
felt
have
good.
all these enemies you could have raped.
Well, I
Why
can't
did you
get
rape
laid
me?
any other way. No.
But so, I don't know. I really want, like, it would be great if, that, because that guy was angry with him.
Right.
Being that he died. So it would be great if, like, we see the leader of that little outfit take him to Negan and explain what's going on and say, I think now we've got trouble with the kingdom.
Right.
And so for Negan to just, do one of his awesome whatever liners or whatever, and then just like
monologue.
slit his throat or something and be like, I can't have you people out there starting wars. You're supposed to be keeping the peace more or less, and you're out here starting fights.
I wonder if the Negan has even really met Ezekiel like face to face.
I don't know, because he's got that agreement with the Saviors, and
it'd be cool to see kind of like a sword fight, Ezekiel and his cane, and Negan with the bat and all that stuff.
I think Ezekiel would tear him a new one because he's got that light little sword cane, and I think the Negan's bat's got to. I mean, if he could connect with that bat, it'd be devastating. But I think Ezekiel would just be too fast.
Yeah,
Morgan had 2 sticks. When he picked them up, one was his. What was the other one?
Benjamin's.
Oh, that's right. Because that's right. Okay.
Yeah, he picked up Benjamin's. I was waiting for him to just go like double.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Like just start. That would have been badass. So with Benjamin dead again, all right. And I know that this. When I say we, remember I'm including our listeners too, not just the 3 of us.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
So Benjamin's dead. Is the show just, again, that predictable, or are we just all that good?
I don't know.
Because we've been calling the Benjamin
now,
death as to be what gets Ezekiel into the fight for a while. I mean, basically, since we met Benjamin and Morgan was kind of placed as his mentor, we were like, oh, yeah, that kid's going to die, and that's going to get Morgan to start killing again. And as it went on, we were like, oh, yeah, he's going to die, and also that's going to get the kingdom into the fight.
I think it's a little bit of both. It's also the fact that, like we said, the show has certain pros that it does, and it's certain routes that it takes, and you start to see it early on because after 7 seasons you figure out, I know what's going to happen.
And see, that's what I like about Game of Thrones, man. Not to digress too much, but I mean, like the Game of Thrones, I can never. And I mean, some people have predicted big plot points, no doubt, but I mean, still, like little details of things happening in that show. It's just so like. I never see it coming, like the Red Wedding. You know what I'm saying? When that happens, you're like,
spoilers.
What the hell? I'm not going to say exactly what happens.
Whatever. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, that happened like 3 years or 4 years ago. Like you should have seen it by now.
If you're not, like I don't know. But then again, I will give the Walking Dead credit because the way they killed Richard was, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Ooh, me neither.
And it was actually during the scene that I started thinking that Richard might have had something to do with the cantaloupe. My girlfriend called that like out the gate. She's like, do you think Richard took that as soon as the cantaloupe was missing, pretty much? She's like, do you think Richard took the cantaloupe and trying to get them to fight, and that's why he was so willing to die, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, huh. And then turns out he did.
That whole scene when Morgan was kind of losing his mind, like running around, they were showing clips of like his son and his wife and all that. That was really, really shot weird.
It was. I think what they were trying to do is more or less put you in his head because, movies always make everything so cinematic. Like when you shoot a gun, there's no slow-mo. It's
your
just
middle
pow.
finger goes on the trigger.
Absolutely. Like Dwight, your first finger gets cut up by the slide because like a dumbass you rested it against it.
Yeah.
But so, I think what they were, my interpretation of that is what they were going for was a less cinematic point of view shot. Like they wanted to put you in his head because we as humans, you think rapid things really quickly. It's not all cinematic where it's like, I love you, Morgan. And then it's in a funny, you know what I'm saying? How they do that. I think that's what they were going for was more of a, let's just show how hectic his mind is right now. Like it's just,
I can get
everything's
that. I can be on
flooding
board with
in,
that.
I think it would have been way better if the savior guy was just way more pissed off because like the cantaloupes were like overripe and he's like trying to, it's like,
you call these melons.
Yeah. And Ezekiel's like, you'd never return fruit. Fruit's a gamble.
That's good.
That's beautiful.
That was really, so we finally found an impression that you can do spot on.
A little bit.
Kang Ezekiel.
The only thing
only when he's in the supermarket.
Of course.
The only thing that could have made that scene even better than the way you just described is as the Savior was holding them, he held them at his chest and was squeezing them going, these are too ripe.
That's so funny.
But, and then Morgan looked freaky, man. Like the look in his eye, really good on the actor's part. Lenny James.
Lenny James is awesome.
Because when he confronted Richard in that room about the cantaloupe and Benjamin, I mean, he looked mad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like he was right on the edge of, like, if you say the wrong thing, he's going to kill you right here. You know, you choose your words very, very carefully. And then you've got I just felt like there needed to be you have to kill.
That's probably what the director told him. He's like, I want you to deliver
you. And kind of throw your hip out when you do it. You have.
That's the first 3 or 4 times that he did the scene. They were like, Lenny, we got. First of all, stop clapping. Second of all, please don't stick your hip out like that. It takes us out of the scene.
And don't bend your wrist at the end. It's just
those
you're
man.
interpreting this the wrong way. During that second confrontation, like, was I the only one that's just like, come on, Morgan? Like, I was expecting Morgan to snap and just take out all of them.
Yeah.
Or start. Obviously, he probably couldn't take them all out. They're armed, but to start the fight that they killed out this whole group to where it's basically like, all right, well, now we're in the fight. Mm-hmm. I would have just ambushed them and made everything disappear. And it's like, I don't know, Negan. I don't know where they went. Which obviously Negan's not stupid, so I know Negan would probably figure it out. But nonetheless, But I was just like, come on. But it didn't happen. Instead, he's now playing Richard's plan. I mean, he's basically taking Richard's plan to the T. He kills Richard in front of them.
Yep. Like
Richard said, making them feel like he's on board and understands, like they think right now that Morgan is just their bitch, like, oh yeah, he's terrified of what we're going to do after yesterday. So he's not going to, we don't have to worry about him. I mean, he just killed one of his own damn people. One of Ezekiel's right-hand men. And but I don't know. How did you feel about the Richard killing? Do you think that it was a good move? Do you like the way it happened? JP, you look like you got something to say.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it.
I didn't like it. I get why he did it, and I get why some will feel that, yes, Richard needed to die.
Now, I agree with that.
When you really get down to it, I mean, because he tried. He wanted to sacrifice Carol. Mm-hmm. It all goes back to like that Watchmen.
He keeps having terrible plans.
Right. Well, it keeps kind of going back to like that Watchmen question of like, do we kill a few
to save more,
make everyone else unite for the better good? How do you put a value on the quality of life as an individual But I mean, to his credit, he was completely planning to have himself sacrificed. He didn't do this hoping Benjamin would get killed and that would go. I mean, the guy did it completely thinking, okay, I'm going to get myself killed, and this is going to push them to fight and free themselves. So, I mean, I don't know. I felt bad for Richard. I think that his heart was in the right place. Just some of the actions were stupid.
That was pretty well said, yeah. Like, he's had a string of bad ideas.
Yeah.
So I think, excuse me, it's about time for him to get out of here.
He had to go.
I didn't think it was going to happen that soon and be strangled by Morgan.
I didn't like it. Like, I wrote down in my notes, it said, this is bullshit. But I get really, like, emotionally invested in these shows. So, after I calm down and I can think about it. I completely, that's what I love about talking on podcasts, because it's just, you can look at it from so many different angles. You can be like, it wasn't justified because, how many people has Morgan? Look how many people Morgan Morgan would kill people just because he was in a blind rage and somehow figures that he's, more justified, I guess, than. But at the same time, Richard got an innocent kid killed who Morgan was very close to, and kind of Morgan's like hope for the future, was trying to instill. I think he was trying to be Eastman to this kid, trying to instill those values, and now that's all gone. So I get both sides. I get if you say that Richard should have died, Morgan did the right thing, but I completely understand if you say that he shouldn't have done that.
I also forget that there's only 3 episodes left of the season.
Right.
So, yeah, it makes sense that this would have to happen. Like, literally, they're going to have to – the next 3 episodes have got to be balls to the wall.
You killed the American governor, man. I'm just not – I swear that guy looked like he could have been the governor's brother.
What did you say? His nose looked like a curly – like the curly piece of bacon?
When bacon curls up on the end. Like, I like mine, like, pretty much raw. So
your noses?
No. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I like my noses raw.
No, I like the ends of the bacon that curl up, like the fat. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what his nose looked like.
I order my bacon floppy.
And now when you eat that,
And now I'll just think about American.
Now you're just going to pick it up and be like, damn you, Richard.
Damn you. And then people are going to be like, what? He introduced me to bacon. Don't worry about it.
He was the pig.
I used to be a vegan, and then that's so funny. He was
Richard
the pig.
was the pig. But no, I mean, I really don't know how. I'm going to have to think on it more. I don't know how I feel about Morgan killing Richard. I think it was a smart move in the sense of getting the Saviors to have a sense of, a false sense of security. Like they think, okay, Ezekiel and his boys are on board. They're not going to rebel anytime soon, when they're completely planning to. So, I mean, it was smart in that regard, but I just don't know if I feel like he deserved to die in that way.
I get choking him with his bare hands because it's kind of showing this primal rage.
We need to see that Morgan is back.
I would have liked to have seen him just like twirl the stick, hit him in the face, knock him down, just shove it right in his head. Just shove the stick. Like I didn't need to see him looking him in the eyes.
I would hope to God, because I always fuss at him because he takes a blunt stick and stabs these zombies through the heads. But I always try to say, well, it's because they're so rotted after all this time that it's just they cave in really easy. If he would have taken the blunt stick and stuck it into Richard's head, I would have just been like, come on, man.
I mean, you got it. I mean, what else? But that would have been a lot better than him choking him out, because people like that wouldn't have given them time to watch him do it.
I think what they wanted you to see by that was that Morgan's back. Like that was what they were trying to convey.
Yeah, I'm cool with this.
Because if the sticks would have happened, everyone's just sitting back like, we're killing Richard now. Fuck Richard now. Okay,
Ezekiel's like,
screw
that's
Richard,
right, brother. That's right.
Yeah,
so Richard told Ezekiel though what he did.
No,
right?
not yet. Because Morgan told him at the beginning of the scene. He's like, "Did you tell him yet?" And he was like, "Not now." And then Ezekiel was like, What do you mean not
see,
now?
When they cut away, I was wondering if he did tell him and we just didn't see it.
No, because he's like, no, we'll talk about it now, and that's when the Saviors roll up.
Right.
Because Morgan explained it then, and Ezekiel had the look of like learning it for the first time as Morgan was explaining it after he killed him.
So maybe that's why they didn't stop him, because they were like, he
knew something was up when Morgan's like, did you tell him? And he's like, not now. But I just think they were so shocked that it was happening, because that is one thing I've learned in real life, is that we always think we'll have these like movie reactions to things. Sometimes some shit pops off and you just jump into action and don't think about it. Sometimes something happens and you just lock up and you don't know what to do. You're just like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So kudos, because that is a lot how real life can be. You're like,
but like if you saw somebody, like if you were hanging out with your friends and all of a sudden one of your other friends just punched another one of your friends in the face, you'd run up and be like, yo, what, right? You try to get them apart.
Most of the time, yeah, you try to. I mean, I'm just. But I'll tell you off the mic, I've got a scenario in life where I always thought I would jump into action, and turns out I just was like, I didn't know what to do. So.
We get to hear that and the listeners don't. That's exciting.
It's a little personal.
Is this your Bruno Mars story?
No.
That's a very funny story, though. I will never think of a platter of cheese the same way.
I told y'all that at your sleepover like 3 weeks ago.
We have got to stop calling them sleepovers, by the way.
Why? That's what they are.
I'm just saying, I agree with that. But
you stop telling us to bring the sleeping bags,
weird.
I'll stop calling them
You prefer
sleepovers.
slumber party?
No, it's just I'd rather bring the sleeping bag, because last time I didn't, he told me I could sleep in the bed with him. And have you ever tried to share like a twin bed with a grown man?
Nah, not
fun.
in this life.
It's really warm.
Not in this, maybe like 300 years ago when I was a Viking or something.
Very warm.
But so, all right, Morgan got his stick back. Were you two happy to see him reunited with his stick?
Yeah.
Do we have a name for the stick? Should we give the stick a name? The stick's Eastman, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Eastman. So we were happy to see Eastman and Morgan reunited. So final thoughts before we move on. Do you think Richard deserved to die?
Yes, just not in the way that it
deserved
happened.
to die.
He definitely deserved to die, but I'm wondering, like, if Morgan's going into this because he knows it's part of this grand plan for their all-out war, if he just like raged out and then afterwards was like, you know what, to make sure there's no more violence, and then he gives the whole
one
thing,
final thought on this before we go. Now, Richard was fully willing to sacrifice himself.
Oh boy.
We know that
BMX gear and all. Yep.
Do you think, if Richard was watching this, like if you could ask Richard, I kind of feel in a small way that Richard would have been was okay with it. I mean, he fought back a little bit.
Yeah, but not as much as he could have fought back.
Right, but at the same time, he was now, I mean, if you can go back and look, it's like you did what you accomplished. Even though you died in a kind of screwed up way, now they are going to fight the Saviors.
Right.
So in the long run, you did accomplish your mission. You got buried where you wanted to get buried. I kind of feel like in a strange way that Richard would have been okay with it. If you could like ask Richard, he'd be like, no, that's what I wanted. Like, I hate that I didn't expect it. It caught me off guard, but I was fully willing to die if it meant getting them to fight. And now I'm dead and they are fighting. So
if someone was going to murder me, I'd want it to be a surprise.
Did they stab him in the head too?
So do you think Morgan made the right call by telling Carol about Glenn and Abraham? And I was just like, as soon as he walked up, I was like, oh, here we go. Oh snap! He's about to tell Carol about, about Glenn and Abraham, and then he did. Do you think that was a smart move? Do you think he should have done that?
Yeah, she needs to know.
She needs that kick in the ass to get back in the fight, you think?
I mean, that would be a good side effect of it. But she just this is.
I think she deserved to know.
She deserved to know. Like, these people were part of her life for a while.
And obviously it was bothering her.
Right.
It wasn't just.
She wouldn't be where she is now if it weren't for that group of people that she's decided to be like, I'm going to do my own thing now. I've used up everything. So
it's one thing to meet a small group on the road. Like, honestly, like the Kingdom, she's only been, known them a short bit of time. So but these are the people that you've been with for the last year
Glenn
or two.
more than Abraham, but she deserved to know. She needed to know.
Oh, yeah.
And if it gets her into the fight, then good.
Now, all right, Morgan is obviously back and okay with killing people. I mean, he told her he was going to kill the Savior one by one. So now with Morgan's rage, do you think we're going to revert back to him being an uncontrollable force, or do you think he's now going to be a little bit like of a calculated crazy?
His head's on the chopping block now. That's for certain.
No.
All right, are you happy with his newfound rage, or do you wish he would have started killing, but basically, because in my mind you've got two Morgans.
I like where you're going with this.
You've got the crazy Morgan, and then you've got the calculated Morgan who doesn't like to kill and blah, 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 blah. Do you think it would have been better if what they would have done is had him start killing, but now he's not crazy?
He is calculated, but he knows he has to kill.
Right, he's still peaceful, but he knows he's got to kill the Saviors.
I don't understand why it has to be black or white.
Instead of he's just...
There's a gray area that he could work in. But yeah, I would like that. I'd like you to be like, okay, I get it now. I have to kill, but I can't be as reckless and let rage control me.
Right. Whereas I'm scared that that's what's going to happen. Is he's going to let rage consume him.
And that's going to be his downfall.
I think for the long haul, I think what's going to happen is that Morgan is going to go into a rage. I think we're going to watch some awesome kills. He's going to just obliterate several of the Saviors.
Great stick fights.
I think Rick's going to see Morgan reverted back to this madness. And when he does have the chance to kill Negan, and Morgan will die. I think Morgan will die in a rage.
No.
And I think that what'll happen is that Rick will remember the good side of Morgan. Mm-hmm. And maybe even Rick has to kill Morgan. I mean, because he already had tried to kill Rick when they were friends before in his rage. So maybe he'll lose his mind. Maybe Rick has to put him down, but in honor of Morgan, that's why he won't kill Negan. He'll put him in that cell that Morgan built, kind of in memory.
No.
Of maybe they'll give out a scholarship in Morgan's name, things like that.
It'd be so nice.
We see that he's obviously going a little bit crazy because we kind of had I guess you could say, somewhat of a parallel to the comic, because he calls Carl Dwayne.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which actually he was dying when he did that in the comic, right? When he calls Carl Dwayne, he's standing with him after he's been. Yeah. And see this, we know he's still not all there because he calls Benjamin Dwayne.
Right.
So he's kind of flipping back and forth. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I really like Morgan. I
just don't want him to die.
He'd become one of my favorite characters. Yep. So I really don't want it to just be like, all right, he's Rage Machine and now he's about to die and we're done with that. Like, come on, man, let's get something out of this.
Did you say Rage Against the Machine?
No, but I had a side note. Okay. I don't like to. I'm usually the one fussing at y'all.
I'm always excited when you do it because it makes us feel.
No, but okay. Do we have Rage Against the Machine fans here in this room? Do you listen to them?
I mean, I know a couple of their songs.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, that's not the reaction I was hoping for, so this is going to be irrelevant. Rage Against. I had a bachelor party this weekend, and everything was well and good. And Testify.
Now, this was not your bachelor party.
No. Just my best friends.
Okay.
So, other than you guys,
right?
No,
thanks. Yeah. But Testify, that's one of them I know.
Testify came on, and the entire party wanted it turned. They were like, "This is bull. You've been playing good music up to this point. This sucks. What is this?"
Everybody.
I'm like, but half the people there like Rage Against the Machine.
Oh my god, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Testify, man. I was like, that's a good. I mean, it was an up energy.
I don't like political talk. I'm trying to avoid it right now.
I was just blown away. I'm like, wow. Okay.
I would imagine most of them are in our age group, so kind of came up with it.
Yeah.
Probably System of a Down thing.
They would just because I had the music going and I had kept it going. I actually didn't do a playlist. I was just kind of playing it off my phone. After a song would go off, I'd play another one, and then I went upstairs to get something. When I come back down into the man cave, they were all of them were just like, "What is this?"
So you personally picked this song and then they just crap all over it.
Did not like it. Wow. And I was playing everything from like hip hop to like modern country to old country to rage. Like I could just kind of read the crowd, I guess being
Second
a radio
Nelly reference this podcast.
DJing, you kind of learn how to read the crowd and where they're going. And other than that, every song I play, people would be singing and like getting into it. That one came on. They were not feeling it.
You should have put Florida Georgia Line on right after that. and then been like, okay, so Rage Against the Machine seems a little
This
bit better.
is the hell you created.
Wait, what was the first Nelly reference that we did?
Did we say that off air? Somebody
about
mentioned
Nelly?
Nelly, yeah.
Oh, right before I think I said something about I don't know. I don't remember.
definitely
That was
said
like
Nelly
40
this
minutes ago.
morning.
I don't remember what I said 10 minutes ago. Are you kidding? That's why we have to make notes, and Justin has like everything written down about what we got to talk about because I can't remember.
Absolutely. So, all right, back to the Walking
Maybe you were
Dead.
just talking about his great abs. I can't remember.
Yeah, he does have some good abs. Yeah.
All right, Morgan at the end was sharpening his stick.
That's such a weird thing.
Well, it's like I don't even see how that's sexualized. I mean, you don't sharpen.
No, I'm not
your
saying
dick.
sexual. It's just really weird. You sharpen your stick.
Right. Well,
I
he's
have
sitting
to
on
go
the
sharpen my
porch
stick.
sharpening his stick. What do we think? I mean, I think there's a lot of symbolism in that. You know what I mean? I think that we're like the round stick obviously was more or less
He's gonna
to
hunt
hurt.
vampires.
It was to hurt, not to kill. You know, he hit you with the stick, it would stun you, but it wouldn't kill you unless you had a rotted head.
yeah.
Now he's taking an object that was made to maybe subdue and hurt, and instead is taking that object and making it with its sole purpose to kill now.
Wow,
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
showing he means business.
And the spear is what he had, before he met Eastman.
Yeah.
He was rocking a spear.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So now maybe that is the whole thing about coming together, like Eastman and his former mentality
Will be
coming
in one
together.
body.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
will it be kind of like the guy off The Flash with two people in one body?
Oh, Firestorm.
Firestorm. Yeah, we'll
Firestorm,
hear.
yeah.
One of them's not
We'll
really
hear
evil,
Morgan
though.
and
And he's
Easton.
coming back this neck tomorrow.
Are you serious?
I don't want. I'll talk to you later about it.
We'll
Okay.
hear Morgan and Eastman arguing in their head. That's
funny.
I don't want to get off. There's so many funny scenarios I've painted in my head though about two men sharing
It's like
one
Deadpool,
body.
where he's got like a really
Multiple
sound-
personalities.
Yeah, and like a crazy.
I'd love it
one.
if they incorporated that into the movie. But
Yeah.
anyways, what do you feel like Carol and Morgan's relationship's going to be like when it comes to battling the Saviors? Do you think that
Hot.
they're going to have a relationship when it comes? I mean, now I'm not talking about like a romantic relationship. That's obviously reserved for King Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, how do we think that she might be the yin to his yang? Like he's kind of off his rocker and. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not a rage killer. She's a very calculated. She knows where she can and can't strike best.
She's always She's always on the verge of crying.
Do you think
though.
she's going to be the one to maybe like what's the word I want to say? Like aim Morgan's rage, like take it and strategically use
the
it?
Black Widow to his Hulk?
Yeah, right. There you go.
man.
There you
Okay.
go.
I like that.
I mean, then they may not even interact much after this because Morgan seems like he's not going to fight with the group. I think he's kind of just going off and doing he's going to be kind of like the wild card. He's just out killing saviors on his own while Rick and all the other communities are banding together. I don't see Morgan really fighting in the midst of ranks. I see Morgan's just going to go off and kill people.
He's a total guerrilla warrior.
I want to see it. I'm really excited, but I just really hope that these next like 2 episodes aren't a more filler and build up.
We'll get more to it toward the end of the episode, but man, I really thought this episode brought it back for the people that have been saying that they've been bored the last few episodes. I really thought this episode kind of kicked it up a notch.
It did. It was still not on par with what I'm looking for as far as I want like straight up war. I want some more.
You want some straight up battles.
Yeah, well, I know it's not that show where you're going to find that constantly, but I want.
Next season, man, it should be, damn it.
should
Because next
be.
season's supposed to be all out war. So, I mean, I would say at least every other episode should have some like balls to the wall, badass
Again,
action.
man, I appreciate your optimism. I hope you're right.
I'm probably not.
Because this whole season has been build up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, that's what it kind of, I get why they're doing that. Because in the comics, Road to War was definitely more of like a build up. And
Right.
then the all-out war was a payoff. Because I'm not going to lie, man, in the comics, which we had someone actually, a good segue there, in the comments said they wish we would do a Walking Dead comic podcast,
yeah, I read
which JP
that.
and I have talked about doing. Because I loved All-Out War. I thought that was a great story arc. It was very entertaining, always on the edge of your seat. And then you had the Whisperer War recently, which I think the aftermath of that saga is better than the actual Whisperer War. I thought the Whisperer War was okay, and now all of the effects of the war are what is
you
actually
gotta admit,
really
though,
good.
seeing Negan like in battle was pretty awesome.
No, it
Especially
had
fighting Beta.
It had its moments. I just expected more from it. I don't feel like it quite.
I like that it was more condensed than All Out War. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
no
a whole
kidding.
year-long thing,
Yeah.
which they gave us like 2 issues per month when they were doing All Out War.
And they gave us, like 3 this past month?
Oh.
Yeah, with the 25
We got the 25 cent, the regular, and then we got a surprise issue.
And
like
the most
last
recent
week.
one, the surprise issue, ended off on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I don't want
big
to talk about it.
cliffhanger. Yeah, if you don't
haven't
read,
read
I
it.
won't
Oh, you
spoil
know
that
that
for you
too?
comic
We'll
readers.
talk
yeah,
about it
right.
afterwards. I want to get your opinion on what you think.
Yeah. But yeah, so all right, now before we wrap this up, we're going to head to the comments section. We've got
and now these are comments for last week's episode.
From last week's podcast, yeah. So if you want to get on the podcast, just comment, and we don't do every one of them, obviously, because thank goodness it's a good problem to have. The problem that we're having now is that there are lots of comments, and sometimes some people comment multiple times, so we kind of try to find the best of those comments.
Or somebody might say somebody who's commented 3 or 4 times says something as the same thing as somebody else who only commented once. I may use that person who's only commented once and give that person something. It's just I just try to put in as much as I can. I try to give everybody a shout out best I can.
But so Harry Dane says, hey guys, love the podcast. This is my first comment to you. I really dislike this episode, and I hope I don't get hate for it. You won't, because I think that was the consensus for most of
I love
everyone, except for JP.
Yeah.
Of course.
He says, I think it has to be my least favorite of all season, and that's saying something from a run that's given us Swear Oceanside.
Yeah,
episode.
I don't know what that meant.
No, that's the name of the episode, Swear.
Okay.
The Oceanside episode. The reason I dislike this one so much is due to the fact that I just don't buy Rick and Michonne as a couple. I don't think we have been given enough of their interactions in the past to really route them for them as a pair. Separately, they are very strong, and on paper it should work, but as an audience member, I feel like the relationship has just been pushed on us, and they have no chemistry together. Also, as Michonne is very non-emotionative, did I say that right? Emotive. Most of the time, I felt her laughter seem very forced and unnatural this episode. I love them both as individual characters, but as a couple, I just don't feel it. You're not the first one to say that. I mean, let's say that now. You're not the first.
That's how you guys felt at first.
At first, it's the same way I felt.
But I will agree with him about how Mama Michonne, she is pretty much doesn't have any emotions on her face, like does not wear her heart on her sleeve.
Right.
So to see her laugh or something feels
She's opened up a lot more in the show than she does in the comic. I mean, in the comic, pretty much the whole run, even when she does have her more upbeat moments, she's still pretty brooding. I think the whole, she's very focused on whatever her goal is. You know what I'm saying? Like she's always like, it's like she's always lost in her head. She's like angry. I would be a good way, I guess, to say it. But Harry, you're definitely not alone in that. We found out the hard way, there are some people who will shoot you down if you don't agree, if you don't like Rick and Michonne together. But
that's the great thing
but
about
that's your opinion, and that's you're not alone on it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I felt that way. I felt that, and it's just different. I mean, there's other couples that I want to see happen. I think Ezekiel and Carol would be freaking awesome together. They have a lot of good on-screen. When they're on screen together, they have great chemistry. Rick and Michonne, I just don't sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I just don't get the same vibes as I do from other couples that they've had.
Their dynamics can be really weird. They should go up to
There's
Carol.
no wrong way to look at that.
I want to feel your bosom.
What? Excuse me, ma'am. I would like to. Oh my God! There's
might
so
I
many
take
ways
a gander up your
that.
frock?
But so I mean, there's no wrong answer. If you like them together, that's awesome. If you don't like them together, hey, no worries.
That's true.
Let's see. And thank you for. I'm glad you found our podcast.
That's awesome.
Thanks for commenting, and continue to comment, please. Duke Chronic says Sasha was wearing the necklace Rosita made for Abe. She didn't notice it because they didn't show the charm made from the broken tail light. Huh, okay. I have a thought on that, dude. Let's see where this goes. Prediction time. I need like a doom breaking.
I got you. Just say it again.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Like 3, 2. Doom. Prediction time. Man, that was good. I got chills.
Thank you.
Maybe that's chicken pox. I'm not sure.
No. That's called shingles when you're an adult, bro. Get that taken care of.
So here's my prediction. I think that right now Sasha and Rosita are both on a suicide mission, with both of them thinking they're both not coming back. However, I think last minute Sasha is going to sacrifice herself and save Rosita. I think that we're going to think, and Rosita's going to think, that she's going to die. Maybe they're on the bus, like they're on a bus barreling towards the sanctuary, which I hope she doesn't throw her from a very fast-moving bus. That would be not good. But somehow she'll, somehow
I'm going to save you, dead.
Oh, shit. She splattered against that tree.
Sorry.
Well, you know what? The Saviors would have done worse things to her. I still saved her in a way.
That's so funny.
But, like, I could see, her kind of, like, throwing her out at the last second. Like, all right, you ready to do this? And, Sasha's like, yeah, I am. Or, what I'm saying? Like, somehow leaves Rosita behind. And sacrifices herself, and maybe in that we'll see Abraham. That's my prediction, is that Rosita will not die, actually, that it will be just Sasha, though we're going to think it's going to be the both of them. But anyways, just when he said Sasha Rosita, it made me think of that. That's pretty trifling if Sasha's wearing the necklace Rosita, which I know she probably doesn't realize where it came from. She just remembers Abraham was wearing it, so she's wearing it. that could lead to some conflict between the two of them. They're together, and that comes out, and maybe Rosita's like, "Where'd you get that?"
Yeah,
just saying.
Blah 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 blah, and then it's about to be a brawl. Who would win between Rosita and Sasha in a fight?
We've talked about this before. I feel that's a good question because I don't know.
They're both very spunky.
Yeah, but I think Rosita flies off the handle a lot quicker. Sasha keeps her wits about her.
Now she does.
Yeah.
Old Sasha did. Now she almost got into it with Mama Michonne back
That
when
would have been a bad idea.
Oh yeah, Michonne would have whooped her ass.
But now, I think Sasha could take Rosita. I like Sasha.
She
more than
seems like
but
she's in
Rosita
a better
lately.
place than Rosita is.
Oh,
Like
absolutely,
she
dude.
wants revenge, but she's
Rosita's
calculating it. Rosita is much more like just the off the hinges, kind of, again, exactly how Sasha was. We're pretty much just seeing Rosita become Sasha from season, 5? So
They're like those Indian women who throw themselves on their husband's funeral pyre. They just can't go on without
Talking
them.
about Pocahontas, bro?
Did she do that?
Well, John Smith was getting ready to get. Have you not seen the Disney movie?
I never watched it.
Really?
I'm sure that'll be a live action
throws her
movie.
head-
She
before you know
burned
it.
herself alive
Well,
at the end?
no. John Smith was getting ready to die, and she throws her body on top, and her father was getting ready to execute him, but he stopped when she put her body on top of him. Kind of same thing,
Yeah.
I guess.
I like this next question from Eagle Eye Cherry
I'm going to have to
Pie.
go back and watch that now.
He says, "Do you guys think Rick and Aaron made out as much as Rick and Michonne did on their
Probably
run?"
more.
I'd imagine so.
Probably more.
I'd imagine so. That's
Just
why-
look at them. They look like the kind of guys that just can't keep themselves off of each other for more than 2 seconds.
Joseph Chambers says Rosita is going to die for sure. She's had too much screen time. However, Izuna Dora responds and says that they won't necessarily spoil anything for him, but you may be disappointed. I don't think Rosita's going to die just yet. I don't see her. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, I would love to be wrong in that. Like, surprise me. Let's see here. We got to wrap this up. We are running long this time, but let's see. All right, so Jeep says,
Hey, our friend Jeep.
Jeep. It could be Negan. Excuse me. I don't read worth a crap in the morning. It could be that Negan doesn't even know about the kids from the ocean side being killed. Right. We've said this. We've discussed this at some point, maybe off the mic, but that it might not be necessarily that Negan even knows half of the screwed up things that the lieutenants are doing out there in his name, which again, I say it's his fault still because he's led by example. He's got these weak-minded people following him. And he's like, showing that I rule by fear and intimidation. And so they try to do the same, and as a result, people die because they do what they think Negan would do. But he says that maybe it was Simon or that other douchebag, Davey, that did it and never even told him. I got to admit I didn't like Carol way back in season 1, but now she's one of my favorites. I also found it peculiar that they gave the garbage pail kids guns, but no ammo. And finally, what the hell is wrong with Judith? She's like the calmest baby I've ever seen. All she does is sleep and sit. Do they keep her drugged or something?
Probably.
I don't know, but I doubt social services is a thing in this day and
Eugene,
time. So.
I have made medicine for the baby to help it sleep.
Give this to the baby; it shall stop. I mean, you might have to though. Think about it. Maybe that could fan theory. Like one of those conspiracy theories. They keep Judith drugged up because if she cries, it can attract walkers.
Just put the pillow over her face for just like a couple seconds until she
God.
passes
Oh, man.
out.
No,
That's like the
God,
last
that's messed
episode
up.
of MASH where Hawkeye thought he was smothering a chicken, but it was really a baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that
some
was-
deep stuff.
It was, man.
Yeah. Well,
lost
he
his-
told the mom, too. He didn't
Joe
do it
W. I
himself.
like Father Gabriel now,
baby.
and I don't like Eugene.
MASH.
It's good. Sorry, it was
Man,
a really sad.
yeah.
That was the most amazing
I'm
show.
still hung up on
All right, here we go.
You read the next one, Matt.
I like Father Gabriel now, and I don't like Eugene now because I like Father Gambrel and Eugene. I like the way he spelled Gambrel and Eugene because I think that he really did turn on Rick. He thinks that
Oh
Eugene
no,
turns
he
on
really
Rick.
did turn on Rick. Yeah, he was a douche. Yeah, he. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was flashing back to Father Gabriel. No, Father
He likes
Gabriel
Father
did turn on Rick,
Gabriel
but now
now.
Father Gabriel's on board. Yes, I don't know. I don't think Eugene really turned on Rick.
It's all a part of a plan.
I think that Eugene's too smart for that. I think that he has no pride. He doesn't mind being a coward. So I think he has zero problems going, yeah, I'm Negan if it keeps me alive. And then
I think he's going to go whichever way the wind blows.
You think
if
that
you
he's
think he's
just-
got a better deal there,
really, that's
whoever
gonna be-
sees he's going to win, he's going to fall on that side.
They say we're going to have a betrayal before the season's over with, and I really think it's going to just be the Star Trek talking people that hang out at the dumpster.
Oh yeah.
But it would be really again, Walking Dead, just surprise us. Like have Eugene fully turn on Rick. Like you would just
That would
not
be
expect
crazy.
that because I think he's just playing right now. I think he's just like doing what keeps him alive. But And like that would be really, really good.
What if it's Eugene that thwarts Rosita and Sasha? Like actually kills one of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
that'd be
cool.
wild.
That would be rough.
Speaking of that, that comes into this one right here.
Eliza Jett says, love the happy Rick and Michonne, but I absolutely hated how they had to have Tara explain to us through the baby about what was on her mind. We get it. Looking at the bracelet was enough. We don't need it forced down our throats about Oceanside. We already know, or we know already. Tara is going to have this problem with her sworn secret when they now need a lot of guns. They have been, I don't know why I have so much trouble reading. They've been feeding us this whole plot with need people. Here they are, need guns. There they are. No thought behind any of this. Also, if they catch Sasha and Rosita, they can always have Eugene help them out with his 2 pills. That would be some messed. I mean, he does have now 2 pills. Mm-hmm. So
he's going to put him in somebody's food or something. He's going to use it to kill somebody somehow.
if he kills Dwight.
I wouldn't mind it.
No, I wouldn't either. Just not a fan of on-screen Dwight. Denise Washington says, possible spoilers. Do you think the show and comic writers coordinate the story? Could they be setting up Michonne and the show to run parallel with... Oh, man, I don't even want to say that because that's so... But, I mean, it's in the comments, so I guess you could read it. If you hadn't read the newest Walking Dead, tune away for like 30 seconds. But Andrea, which we don't know Andrea's dead just yet.
We don't know for sure.
It could have been a bullet grazed
right, yeah.
or you know, just anything. I don't necessarily know that Andrea's out and down for the count yet.
She's got a scratch on her neck when they came out of a big crowd
of zombies saving Eugene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever kill off Michonne. I don't know. Her and Daryl, I think, have fan power. Like, I think that's keeping,
absolutely.
You know, even sometimes, which is a good and bad thing. It's good if you're a super fan, but it does suck if you want a quality story where they go, oh, man, this would be a really great point in which we could write Michonne off, but, you know, have it be this way and it just be one of those lasting moments where you're like, God, that was so hard, yada, 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 where they're like, well, no, too many fans like her, so she's safe. Let's just give that to, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But let's see. Michonne Grimes has something to say about that. Says, I don't think that they'll ever kill Michonne. She's got a lot of fans, and I think the producers learned their lesson with Glenn and Abraham.
I don't think the producers learned their lesson.
No.
But I do agree that they probably will never kill Michonne. It would be a terrible idea.
I don't think they learned a lesson from that, but you're right. I don't think that they would ever kill Michonne. No. I think that Abraham and Glenn was just the way that they thought it had to be.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was really funny. Michonne Grimes also put, okay, when Michonne thought she saw Rick die, all I could think was, if that was Lori, she would be like, damn, well, he's dead. Where's Daryl?
Most likely.
Pretty much, yep.
Joy Stone says, hey, guys, the show will always need Michonne as long as she's represented in the comics. Even though she's part Andrea as far as being the love of Rick's life, she's still Michonne, and she cannot be copied or duplicated.
There is only one Mama Shone.
Caitlin Howard says, and an unrelated note, but still, I like it the few times when someone agrees with me.
I popped that in there because I know you like that, so I popped that in there for you.
Caitlin Howard says she's always said that the series finale for 6 Feet Under is the best tie-up to any show ever made. My all-time favorite show. Yes, I still think it's the best series finale. If you listen to this podcast,
you know that Justin likes 6 Feet Under, Game of Thrones, Lost, and Fight Club.
And I'm like almost through season 2 of Lost, like for the 6th time.
He loves those things.
There were enough Lost fans out there. Oh my! I mean, that actually would listen and participate.
I could think of worse things to be liked.
Oh my God! I would just love to do a Lost podcast. I mean, it's so much to talk about. I feel like I'd have more to talk about.
I literally, pardon the pun, but I would be lost during that podcast because I wouldn't know what's going on.
All right, and the last comment before we wrap this up. I love Life Forever. Hey, number one, good for you.
Yeah, that's always
good
nice.
for you. I enjoyed last week's episode. It will get dark in the coming weeks, so to see them happy was a delightful change. All work and no play makes Rick a dull man. Look at how happy Negan is. The guy has 3 wives.
That is true. I don't know, man. Having 3 wives, first of all, they're not technically wives because I've met plenty of men that have 1 wife that have plenty of problems. Right. So I can imagine putting 2 more into the mix and be like, yeah, life is great.
Yeah, they're more like concubines.
You've just got 2 extra women to piss off constantly. Like, why would you want to? I don't know.
Right.
1 is enough work.
Well, let's rate this episode, and then we're going to wrap it up. We ran a little long, which some listeners say they like. So
a lot happened.
And if you don't like it, then I'm
sorry.
You could easily press the stop button anytime.
There you go. All right, so starting with Matt. Matt, what do you give this episode on a scale of 1 to 10?
I like Morgan. I like you. This was a little bit better. I'm still getting tired of all the build-up. I'm going to say a 7.5.
That's better than you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. What? Go ahead, JP. Go ahead.
That doesn't.
What's it going to be?
Oh boy.
The numbers don't even go high enough. I gotta have like a 12 or a 13.
I don't talk like that.
I'm terrible at impressions.
Oh boy, what were we talking? Oh yeah.
The rating.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If Morgan hadn't have killed Richard at the end, man, I probably would have rated it way lower because, like you said, Benjamin dying was like super, super obvious. But if you're going 7.5, I'll go 8. I guess I went 8 on the last.
So if
one.
I go 6.5, what would you go? Would you stick with 8?
I'd go with a 7.
Oh, well, I'm going to stay with 7.5.
I'm going to go even higher and go 8.5.
Wow.
Because,
okay.
because we're finally moving. It's like, I get that it's all been built up, but it's like now
agreed.
I feel like
we've turned the corner.
It is good to know,
I feel like
yeah.
at the roller coaster, like this is the part of the roller coaster where you're like, you're finally seeing the top of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're getting there. You know, within the next few seconds, you're getting ready to get what you came for. But
what kind of roller coaster is this where we've been going up the hill for like
it's terrifying.
5 months?
But so I think that. I liked it. I think that we're finally moving. Character development. People that are big fans of character development, you're definitely getting that with Morgan now. We're seeing it going through kind of his psyche and all of that. So
I am glad.
I give it an 8.5. I feel like they're getting the ball rolling and we're heading in a good direction.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that we're going to see that Morgan's going to start getting back into the fight.
Right.
I'm glad that a lot of good things happened in this episode. I just was not a fan of the pacing of the episode.
I feel like too. Again, this season finale, like the super fans will return next year because we know that it's about to be all-out war.
Yeah.
But in order to keep kind of your fair weather fans, they're really going to have to make this finale, though. It's going to have to. I doubt they can top last season's, but it's going to really have to be something that leaves you wanting more. Because if they end it the way they've been ending these episodes. It's just we're gonna be ready for it, but I just feel like they won't. You need the excitement around the finale.
Mm-hmm. Lately, they've been trying to kind of tie up the episodes a little neatly, like leave them on nice little notes.
Yep.
For the most part, but I hope that the thing is with last season's season finale. Mm-hmm. Everybody talked about it all summer. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that they did that. It would have, like we've talked about it, would have been better if they would have.
They say they did it for storytelling purposes.
No.
They know they
for
did
storytelling purposes. They should have killed both. They should have killed Abraham and Glenn, and then been like, or kill Abraham, and then be like, who's next, or something like that, and then end it because you're like, oh, we just lost somebody, and we're gonna lose someone else. That'd have been fine. But to like leave it up like a clip.
To kill Abraham, and when Daryl punched him, have him go. Now I've got to do this whole thing over again, and just have him going eeny, meeny, miny, and then it goes
boom.
black.
That would have been amazing.
And then you'd have been like, oh my God, all right, so Abraham died. That's terrible. Now who else is going to die?
See, but they had to leave it on like, let's make everybody talk about it all summer. So right. I hope they don't go that same route. I hope that they can
given
at least
us a little and yet still made us wonder.
It'll be Rick or something. I guarantee you it'll be Rick or somebody. They'll be like, what are we going to do, Rick? And he's going to be like, we go to war. And then it's going to end, like that's how they're going to end the season
I hope
finale.
he doesn't say all out war.
I guarantee you.
Please
he's
going to
say it.
It's all out war.
Mark my words. Write it down. What's today? The 13th? March 13th, Matt said he's going to say we're going to war. Mm-hmm. It's happening.
I can handle we're going to war as long as he doesn't say
we're going to go to and then look at the camera.
Right.
All out war.
All out war.
Hold up like one of the comic books with him and just like point it out. All out war.
I'm excited. I really, the one thing I want to see going into this is I want to see more badass Jesus. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, we haven't seen Jesus in a little while.
I really before the season's out, I'd love to see the comic scene where Jesus and Negan actually have a little fist to fist action. Because Jesus is just awesome, and
yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Negan don't want none.
Yeah.
So more Jesus, and I'm liking it. But so, all right. So you gave it a 7.5. You gave it an 8. I gave it an 8.5.
There you go.
That's not bad. Again, I'm on the other side of you guys. I don't know why it happens. I am really looking forward to the episode where I'm like, it was amazing. I give it a 10.5, and then you guys are like, it was awful. What are you talking about? I was like,
that's usually JP.
Was I watching the same show?
JP usually chooses to give high ratings to the episodes that we both. It's bad when you and I agree and go, oh yeah, this episode was terrible.
Yeah.
And JP's the one that's usually over there like, I wanted to give it like a 9.5.
I forgot, man.
Again, I did not sound like that.
Didn't.
You do kind of sound.
I had to watch
like
the episode this morning because last night was the series finale of the Vampire Diaries, so I had to just get into that.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to let you have that.
I'm kidding.
I'm going to let you have that, and we're going to wrap up the podcast. I'll see you next week. I'm Justin.
I'm Matt.
And I'm JP.
Hey.
Yes, you are.
On
that was
cue.
good. That was good.
I don't sound like that.
Only slightly.